They underestimated her, ignored her silence. But silence isn't weakness, it's focus. Welcome to her silent revenge, where the quiet ones speak the loudest, in the end.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I want to share a personal story that's been brewing beneath the surface for some time now. It's a tale of deceit, power, and ultimately, redemption. I hope it resonates with you as much as it's changed me. Picture this. I'm sitting at the far end of this long, gleaming mahogany table. My fingers are just lightly wrapped around a crystal wine glass, trying to blend into the background of a lavish dining hall. The chatter and laughter float around me, but it all fades into a dull hum, just a backdrop to a very familiar performance. Across the table, my husband, let's call him Alex, raises his glass with a confident smirk. Here's to another month of, what do we call it? Dear? Creative unemployment. His voice booms over the crowd, locking eyes with me as his friends, all dressed in their tailored suits, erupt into laughter. Alex leans back, satisfied with his one-liner. Maybe you should apply for a receptionist job. Clara. A little desk job might suit you nicely. That mockery slices through the room like a cold knife. But I lower my eyes, hiding a flicker of a smile. Let them laugh, I thought. Let them think they've got all the cards. They have no idea. This is where it gets interesting. My name is Clara Jenkins. To the outside world, I'm just a woman living in the shadow of her powerful husband, seemingly with no career, no purpose. But what no one at that table knew, what Alex didn't know, was that I was the founder and CEO of Jenkins Innovations, the very company these men thought they were running. Yes, the empire they believed they built was mine all along. In the beginning, when I met Alex, he seemed like the perfect partner, smart, charming, ambitious. I was captivated, and I fell quickly. But there was one thing I never shared. I was already building something from the ground up. Jenkins Innovations was just a fledgling idea back then, nurtured by sleepless nights and determination. I wanted to see who Alex really was, without the shadow of my success standing between us. So, I lived a modest life, claiming to be a freelance financial consultant struggling to make ends meet. In those early days, Alex was kind and supportive. He encouraged me, and it felt genuine. We got married, built a life together. But slowly, things changed. His patience thinned. His words turned sharp. What started as quiet support became public humiliation. It was painful. But I watched. I waited. As Alex climbed the corporate ladder at Jenkins Innovations, he remained oblivious to the fact that his wife was the one signing off on his promotions. He and his circle strutted around the office, sipping overpriced coffee, flaunting expensive watches, completely blind to where their power truly came from. The more Alex tried to belittle me, the more his true character shined through. That's when my resentment evolved into something stronger. Resolve. I started gathering little details, offhand comments Alex made at home, whispered late-night conversations. His arrogance made him careless, and his carelessness became my greatest weapon. Outwardly, I was still the quiet, unemployed wife, but inside, I was building a case, brick by brick, and I wasn't alone. I assembled a team of trusted investigators, analysts, cybersecurity experts to uncover every betrayal under my company's roof. The deeper we dug, the worse it got. Corruption, embezzlement, shady deals with competitors. Alex and his friends were not just morally bankrupt, they were a cancer, eating away at everything I'd built. But I wasn't ready to act just yet. I needed to understand the decay fully, to feel it, experience it firsthand. So, I did something daring. I created a new identity. I became Lena Brooks, an ordinary woman applying for an entry-level position at Jenkins Innovations. I wanted to experience what it felt like to be on the receiving end of Alex's power games, to see how they treated those they deemed beneath them. Walking into Jenkins Innovations as Lena was surreal. I knew every inch of that building, yet this time I was just another applicant with a simple black folder and a fake resume. The interview room was stark and sterile, tucked away on the 7th floor. 3 men sat behind a sleek conference table, Alex's trusted allies. None of them recognized me. The moment I walked in, the condescension began. "You've been unemployed for how long?" one asked, barely glancing at my papers. His voice dripped with disdain. Another leaned back with crossed arms. "And you think this is the right opportunity for you?" The third man didn't even hide his disinterest, scrolling through his phone, probably messaging Alex with jokes at my expense. It was a performance, and I let them have their stage. For 15 minutes, they belittled me, never caring about my skills or answers. To them, I was just a powerless woman begging for a chance. They had no idea I held their futures in my hands. I left the interview with my head bowed, playing my part, but inside, I was burning with quiet fury. What I saw confirmed my suspicions. Alex and his circle had corrupted the company culture from the inside out. Their arrogance infected every level of the organization. They thrived on intimidation, crushing anyone who dared dream bigger. I couldn't let it continue. For the next year, my team and I unearthed every dark secret hidden beneath Jenkins Innovations' glossy exterior: illegal transactions, money funneled through shell companies, lavish vacations charged to corporate accounts. We intercepted emails, uncovered deals with rivals, documented harassment and abuse. The evidence piled up, more damning than the last. But gathering proof wasn't enough. I needed to time my strike perfectly to dismantle Alex's empire in one clean sweep. So, I waited, biding my time as Alex bragged about his latest wins at work. Each boast only fueled my resolve until the day finally arrived. The morning of the board meeting was crisp and clear. Almost daring you to feel invincible, I arrived early, not in disguise, but as myself, Clara Jenkins, founder and CEO of Jenkins Innovations. For the first time in years, I let my presence fill the lobby, walking with my head high as employees nodded politely, unaware of my true identity. But soon, they would all know. The boardroom was a cathedral of glass and steel, its walls lined with panoramic windows framing the city skyline. At the centre was the long oak table, where countless decisions had been made without my voice. But today, I was taking my rightful seat at the head. Executives filtered in, shuffling papers, making small talk, blissfully unaware of the storm about to hit. Alex and his inner circle arrived last, laughing as if it were just another meeting. But when Alex saw me, his smile faltered, confusion clouding his face. "Clara, what are you doing here?" he stammered. I smiled, calm and steady. "Sit down, Alex. You're going to want to hear this." The room went silent. Alex glanced around, seeking reassurance, but his colleagues were just as bewildered. Slowly, they all sat, shifting uncomfortably as tension thickened the air. I placed my hand on the thick folder in front of me, my voice sharp and clear. Before we begin, I'd like to formally reintroduce myself. My name is Clara Jenkins, founder and CEO of Jenkins Innovations. Gasps rippled through the room. Shock twisted Alex's face, a mix of fear, disbelief, and rage. The colour drained from his cheeks. "No," he muttered, shaking his head. "This has to be a joke." "It's no joke," I replied, clicking a remote. The massive screen behind me flickered to life, displaying documents, emails, photos, and video recordings, irrefutable proof of every corrupt deal, every stolen dollar, every violation of trust. The room sat frozen, eyes wide, jaws clenched as their sins were laid bare. "For the past 2 years," I said evenly, "I've been gathering evidence of your misconduct. Every illegal transaction, every backdoor deal, every moment of harassment and abuse. You thought you were untouchable, but the only reason you got away with it was because I allowed it." Alex lurched forward, fists clenched. "You can't do this! I'm the vice president. I built this company." "You built nothing," I cut him off. Ice cold. "I built this company. I hired you. I gave you everything. And now, I'm taking it all back." I reached for the stack of termination papers beside me, signing each one with deliberate precision. Then I slid them across the table towards Alex and his cronies. "Effective immediately. You are all terminated." Silence. For a heartbeat. No one moved. Then Alex shot up, his face burning with fury and humiliation. "You think you can just erase me? This is my company too." Security guards appeared at the door, stepping inside quietly but firmly. I leaned back in my chair, my gaze locked onto Alex's. "No, Alex. This was never your company. It was mine. And now it's time for you to leave." One by one, they were escorted out, stripped of their titles, their power, their illusions. Alex looked around, hoping someone, anyone, would stand with him. But his allies had already turned away, eyes downcast, loyalties crumbling. I didn't bother watching them go. Instead, I sat still for a moment, breathing in the silence that followed their exit. A silence that felt cleaner, lighter, freer. Today, justice had been served, but my work was only beginning. In the days that followed, the air inside Jenkins Innovations shifted, subtly at first, like the stirring of leaves. There was a new energy, a sense of renewal, and with it came a promise to rebuild, to restore, to create a culture where dreams could thrive without fear. This was just the beginning, and I was ready to write the next chapter. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to take you on a journey with me, a journey that started in the echoing hallways of a company teetering on the brink of transformation. Imagine whispers filling the corridors, rumours spreading like wildfire. It felt as if the very air buzzed with anticipation, and everyone knew something monumental was unfolding, even if the full scale of it was beyond our grasp at the time. But once the dust settled, one truth emerged crystal clear. This was the dawn of a new era. I dove headfirst into the chaos. My first mission was to cleanse the leadership of any remnants of the past that had enabled Jack and his inner circle. Those who had stood by, either silent or complicit, were swiftly escorted out. I wasn't there to maintain old alliances or soothe bruised egos. No. This was about restoring integrity to a company I had poured my soul into, but it wasn't just about purging, it was about rebuilding. I reached out, extending my hand to those who had once made the company great, the dedicated employees who had been sidelined, silenced, or driven out by Jack's toxic regime. I invited them back, offering not just jobs, but opportunities to lead. One of these incredible people was Nina Tran, a brilliant software engineer who had been forced out after standing up against the boys' club culture. When I called her personally, there was a long pause on the other end of the line. "Are you sure you want me back?" she asked, her voice tinged with a cautious hope. "I don't just want you back," I assured her. "I want you to lead." Seeing Nina walk through those doors once more, her head held high, was one of the most satisfying moments of my career. And she wasn't alone. Dozens of former employees returned, their eyes reflecting cautious hope and a quiet determination. I overhauled our policies, implementing zero-tolerance rules for harassment and introducing an anonymous reporting system. We launched mentorship programs aimed at nurturing young talent, especially women and minorities who had been overlooked for far too long. We also established regular town hall meetings, ensuring every voice could be heard, irrespective of title or seniority. Training sessions shifted focus to ethics, empathy, and true leadership, not just productivity. Slowly but surely, the culture of fear and intimidation that had poisoned us from within began to fade. The transformation was palpable. For the first time in years, smiles returned to people's faces. Meetings lost their tension, no longer dominated by egos and hidden agendas. Instead, there was collaboration, innovation, and most importantly, a renewed sense of purpose. One moment stands out to me above all others. It was a month after the leadership overhaul. I was passing by the break room and saw Nina with her new team, brainstorming ideas for a groundbreaking AI project. Their faces were lit with passion and creativity, so different from the weariness and caution I'd seen just weeks earlier. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a company anymore. It was a community, a family. And as I walked through those halls, hearing laughter, seeing teams huddled together, energized and united, I knew we had turned the page. Jack and his cronies were gone, but their absence wasn't the victory. This was. It didn't take long for news of Jack's downfall to ripple through the business world. Headlines were merciless. Financial news outlets dissected every detail of the scandal, and social media exploded with speculation and judgment. Jack, once the golden boy of the company, had been publicly stripped of everything: his title, his reputation, his influence. Within a week, 3 of his closest allies filed for bankruptcy. Rumour had it their personal lives were falling apart too. Jack, who had once commanded boardrooms and revelled in power, now found himself working as a sales associate at a small electronics store in the suburbs. Gone were the tailored suits and Rolex watches. In their place, a cheap polo shirt and a name tag. An old friend of mine happened to walk into the store one day. She told me Jack looked like a shadow of his former self, thinner, eyes hollow, shoulders slumped. He barely made eye contact as he rang up customers. A man who once thought himself invincible, now reduced to a quiet, broken figure. People asked if I felt satisfied, if seeing Jack fall so far brought me the closure I had craved. The truth, it didn't matter. I didn't rebuild the company for revenge. I did it to restore something far more important: justice, fairness, and hope for the people who deserved better. Yes, exposing Jack and his circle was necessary. But the real victory was everything that came after. 6 months later, I stood by my office window, looking out at the city lights stretching endlessly toward the horizon. The building around me buzzed with life, teams collaborating late into the night, projects taking shape that would define the company's future. We had just signed a landmark deal with a leading European software firm, expanding our reach further than ever before. Our AI research team, led by Nina, had developed a groundbreaking platform already drawing attention across the industry. The transformation was undeniable financially, ethically, and culturally. But what stayed with me the most was simpler than any headline or stock report. It was the way employees walked the halls with their heads high, their eyes bright, their voices heard. The company had become more than a business again. It was a symbol, a reminder that no matter how deep corruption runs, there is always a way to fight back, to rebuild, to rise stronger. Sometimes, late at night, when the office quieted and I was alone with my thoughts, I'd think back to the woman I had been when this all started, the one who sat at that dinner table, swallowing humiliation with a glass of wine, pretending to be small so others could feel big. I'd remember the sting of Jack's words, the dismissive looks, the laughter that haunted me long after the parties were over. But now those memories felt distant, almost like watching a movie of someone else's life. Because the truth is, I had outgrown that version of myself. I had learned that true power isn't about crushing others or seeking vengeance. It's about lifting people up, creating something that lasts, and refusing to let anyone diminish your worth. I had turned my pain into purpose, and in doing so, I had not only reclaimed my company, but I had reclaimed myself. As I stepped away from the window and joined my executive team in the boardroom to map out our next ambitious move, I realised something else. This was never just about me or Jack. It was about every person who's ever been told they weren't enough. And we are more than enough. I'm Emily Carter, and this is only the beginning of our story.